How you doing? Just coming over here from TikTok. In case you haven't heard the news, won't be doing a whole lot of live streaming over there anymore, is my guess. At least in the foreseeable future, based on estimates that TikTok will be shut down this weekend over kaput. So, I am trying to decide whether to do more frequent live streams here on YouTube, whether I should kick it over to Facebook, whether I should kick it over to Instagram. What do you guys think? Is TikTok going away? Is it gone? We'll see. So I'll be doing more live streaming here. But I wanted to talk about financial goals. So I happen to be in the parking lot waiting for my 11-year-old to get out of school. I figured it's a perfect time to talk about financial goals. Why not? There are several key elements that are super, super important. So the first thing I want to ask you is how many goals do you have? How many financial goals do you have for 2025? Take a moment, think about it, put it in the comments or the chat, wherever you're seeing this. How many financial goals do you have for 2025? It's a very, very important question. I'm a huge fan of goal setting. I credit goal setting with my ability to be where I'm at financially, educationally, socially, with regard to my relationship with my children, my wife. I have goals around all of it. My health, my desire to to be like the when I'm in my 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s to be the number one pickleball player. I figure the older you get too, the more, as long as you can walk around, you got a better shot of being number one, baby. Goals, super, super important. So I ask you to think about how many financial goals do you have? Now, when I ask this question of most people who are interested in financial planning and money in general, I typically get a response somewhere in the range of 1 to 3 goals. 1 to 3 goals. And what I'm going to suggest to you is that you need more financial goals. And the reason why I think this is very important is because the more financial goals you have, the richer you will be. The more financial goals you have, the richer you will be. So, 1, 2, 3 goals, that's great. You're doing better than most people. I'd like you to have 10 goals at least. So, let me give you some examples. And these may be things you haven't really thought about. So, think of goals in three different ways when it comes to financial planning and your financial life: short term goals, mid-term goals, and long term goals. So, you need to have, I think, goals for each. So, let's talk about short term first. How are you doing with cash flow? This is a spot where a lot of people can have so much benefit because what happens is typically for most people, they get a paycheck, it goes into their checking account, and then it just melts away, it disappears. Have you had the experience of putting money in a checking account and at the end of the month you're like, "Oh my gosh, I got no money left. Where did it all go? Where did it all go?" I know people who struggle with this who make 3,000 a month, 10,000 a month, 100,000 a month. If you're not paying attention to where your money's going, you're never going to get ahead. So in terms of short-term goals, I want to encourage you to create sub accounts within your banking system, however you use it. A lot of banks allow you to do this, where you will set up multiple savings accounts, for example, and you will attach each savings account to a goal. So, what are some of these goals that you could have? Well, what about an emergency fund? So, most financial experts encourage you to have 3 to 6 months of expenses set aside in an emergency fund. This is really, really good advice. Do you have an emergency fund account? Now, as I talk about these various accounts for short term goals, you might be saying to yourself, Dr. Brad, that all sounds well and good, but I don't have any money left over at the end of the month to be contributing to these little sub accounts you're talking about. That's okay. That's okay. All I ask is that you set up an automatic money movement from your checking account to these sub savings accounts of $1 a month. Just start with that. You can make it two, you can make it three, you can make it five later. Okay, so let's just start with $1 a month. So, $1 a month from your checking account, set up sub accounts, emergency savings account. What about a vacation fund? Wouldn't you love to take a vacation? Of course you would. How about an activities fund? So I have young kids. We spend a lot of money on activities. I need an activities fund. Here's another one that's super slippery slope for people, a gift and holiday fund. How many of us, we spend a lot of money during the holidays. We overspend on gifts because we're generous and we love people, and then we pay for it. January, February, March, June, July, we're still trying to pay it off. You don't want to live that way. Start a gift slash holiday fund. I own several businesses, so I have a tax fund. I make sure I'm squirreling money away in my tax fund because I know I'll need to pay it off. So those are like short-term goals. Midterm goals. This can be things like paying off other types of debt. So short-term goals, let's pay off your credit card debt. Midterm goals, financial goals, I'd encourage you to add to your list. You need more goals. The more goals you have, the richer you will be. So paying off larger loans, like your car loan, that's a great midterm goal. Also, like we're talking 2, 3, 5 years out, have a net worth goal. So what do you want your net worth to be? What do you want your net worth to be? Alex, great to see you, my man. Set goals, baby. More goals. Research shows you'll love this. The more financial goals you have, the richer you will be. So I'm a huge fan of encouraging people to set up more financial goals. So you got your short-term goals. I'm going to set up these separate savings accounts. My money's automatically going to go from checking into these separate savings accounts. By the way, my wife and I, we have 8 or 9 of these things. Midterm goals, you're going to pay off those car loans. You're going to contribute to your retirement account, hopefully maxing it out. So maybe your goal is to do that 2, 3, 4, 5 years from now. What about 529 plans? You want savings accounts and investing accounts for your kids. Those are more midterm goals. What about saving for a house? You want to set up a separate account for that. And then longer term goals. I love it. I love it. I love it. Set a net worth goal for yourself 10 years from now. What do you want your net worth to be? What do you want it to be? Think about it. Make this a long term goal. Maybe it's paying off your house. Maybe it's financial freedom. So you need to have goals short term, midterm, long term. I love you, Alex Bivens. I should be calling you and talking to you right now, but here I am talking to you about financial goals. The more financial goals you have, the richer you will be. So that's key. And when I typically have this conversation with people, they will go from 1 to 3 goals. I just did this in a mastermind group, and people had about 1 to 3 goals. They had 10 at the end. What an enormous intervention. I'm like, you're welcome. You're welcome. You're all going to be 3 times richer at least because you set up these goals. And then this is also key. You got to do it. Only takes a minute. Automate, automate, automate. My wife and I sat down. Actually, we went into the bank and opened 5 additional savings accounts as part of our New Year's resolution. And we are automating every month money moving from the checking account into those sub accounts. Because I'll tell you what, a lot of you are really good at this too. You are going to, whatever it takes, you're going to scramble. You're going to get it done, right? So if all of a sudden you had a couple $100,000 you had to come up with, you're going to find a way to get it done, aren't you? I know you are. You're hustlers. You're creative. So that's how I feel about your discretionary spending. I'm not worried about it. You're going to hustle or you're going to adjust. But if you don't squirrel that money away into separate savings accounts and investing accounts, some dark magic's going to happen. And you're going to look into that checking account. You're going to feel flush. Oh, we have some money in there. Look, there's 10 grand in the checking account. Subconsciously, what you're going to do is you're going to start spending that money. You're going to start spending it because you're going to feel rich. Of course, we can go out to eat. Oh, I want a new pickleball paddle. Yes, get it, get it. Oh, you want a new jacket? Of course, because you feel flush. So the key here is actually to feel not so rich in terms of all that discretionary spending, because what you are doing is you're actually creating net worth by shuffling that money automatically to these investing accounts, these savings accounts that matter to you. They matter to you more than the money disappearing on eating out or whatever it is. You don't care about that. If you did, you would have a separate account allocated to my eating out account, and go ahead and do that if that's your goal, if that's your passion, if that's what matters most to you. Actually, I don't care. I don't care what it is. But what worries me is that you are not achieving your goals, that you're not living the life you want to live, that you're out of integrity personally with what you want out of life and your behaviors around money now. And this is the cure. Take a moment right now. Come up with 10 financial goals. What is it? For me, a lot of it's short-term goals. I want more vacation fund. I want to build up the emergency fund. I want to save for another car, whatever it is, whatever it is. Of course, I have the financial freedom goals. Are you saving and investing a percentage of your income? Do it. Even if it's a dollar, get started today. You want to have more goals because the more goals you have, the richer you will be, plain and simple. So I want to get you fired up about that. I want you to visualize what these goals are. I want you to put this into action, make it happen. And before you know it, you will be amazed at how much money is squirreled away automatically, subconsciously for you. This is actually harnessing your psychology for your benefit. You'll be shocked. You'll be thrilled watching all of that money come in. So I love you guys, especially you, Dr. Alex Bivens, and I'll catch you later.